There are some car companies that just by their very name add a certain expectation and reputation. Ferrari, Mercedes, Aston Martin, Jaguar. And to add to those British powerhouses, here we have the Bentley Continental GT. And before you start saying silly things like, hang on, that's just a Volkswagen with a Bentley badge, allow me to demonstrate just how badly you've missed the point. Listen to that rumble. That, my friends, is a 6-litre twin-turbo W12 engine. This is officially, I think, the most powerful thing I have ever started up. To say I'm nervous in this car doesn't even begin to describe it. Oh. I'm starting to feel a bit like a king in this. In terms of build, this is very similar to the Volkswagen Phaeton or the Audi A8. But it's really feeling like a Bentley. It's big, it's butch, it's masculine. It's particularly well designed. Have you seen any of the others, Roderick? We're going boating. Do bring the rolls, I'll bring the Bentley. Goodness me, this is good. Here we go, time to open up the tabs. Okay, this is now a fighter plane! Woo! 552 brake horsepower. 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds. This is just astonishing. And everybody is moving over so that I can overtake them. This girl is a looker, I'll give you that. This girl is really a looker. But what I love is that the seating position is so microcosmically adjustable that down to the millimeter you can adjust the seat to your exact specification. You can adjust the position of each of the leather panels that you're sitting on, the height, angle, and even texture of the leather that you're leaning against. Just unbelievable. The only thing about this car that naturally you would assume to be the case that is off-putting is the fuel consumption. And yes, you do use a lot of fuel. Oh, no, really, a lot of fuel. If you don't want to drive it quickly, you get such an incredible experience. I mean, I've got more gadgets and gizmos than Bill Gates' office. You've got a great sat-nav system, which is very, very good for a luxury car. A map as well, which is separate to the navigational system, so you can figure out where you are. There is even an SOS phone. I'm not joking, right? Ready? Look at that. Look at that! If your mobile phone dies, you can ring for help and get out of a jam. That's unbelievable. The dials are like something out of a spaceship for a start. The electronics are not overly complicated, which means, you know, an idiot like me can figure them out. The drive is so smooth. You imagine a car with this much power and this much energy and this much torque underneath it would be a handful. It just isn't. I might as well be driving a train on the railway. This is just simplicity. And then you put your foot down and your head gets thrown back and all of that power just comes surging in. Oh, baby. I like the Bentley. I've been wanting to drive this car ever since I first saw it on the front cover of Autocar magazine nearly 13 years ago. And it's just magnificent. In every single respect, it is magnificent. I love this car. I love this car. I loved it before I got into it, and being in it has not been a disappointment. But I wouldn't buy one And that's a bit of a letdown, really. I wouldn't buy one, and the reason I wouldn't buy one is because of the fuel consumption. This is not a frugal car, as you can imagine. I mean, let's just remind ourselves again. A 6-litre twin-turbo W12 engine. This thing is worse than George Best on the Raz. But if you're willing to put up with that, you get a Bentley. You get a Bentley. Oh, wow. I'm a very patriotic British person. I love the fact that all my favourite things pretty much come from Great Britain. The pork pie, David Beckham's right foot, Lewis Hamilton, most Formula One teams, in fact, the Union Jack, The Who. I'm very proud of these things. And you can tell me that Bentley is, in essence, a German manufacturer with a British badge. Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. Every car company on the planet is owned by somebody else now. Get over it. This is a Bentley, and it does feel incredibly British in here. And I've driven a lot of German cars, especially from the VAG group. They feel German. I know there's German engineering in this car, but it still feels British. And what I mean by that is the way this car is presented. It's suave, it's sophistication. And I just want to hit the throttle. So here we go, let's give it a go. Boot it. Did you hear that? Oh, okay, I just wet myself. That's amazing. Thank goodness this is British. This car is quite simply Anthony Joshua in the best tuxedo you have ever seen. This is visually, audibly, physically spectacular. And I'm so proud that this is British.
So it has all the flair and grace of the Royal Box at Ascot, but how does it compare against, say, that Nissan GTR we drove?
If I'm being honest, I would say the Nissan GTR is a better car, but I'm more in love with this. A, because it's British, and I'm a very, very British person. 2, it's incredibly comfortable. I mean, no, stupidly comfortable for a car that does 197 miles an hour. 3, there's the noise. That is just about the most beautiful noise I have ever heard from an engine on a car on the road in my entire life. And 4, have you seen it in here? Oh, what's not to like? What is not to fall in love with in this car? The only negative I have found so far of this entire car is the fuel consumption. That's the only negative. The way it drives is masterful. This thing wants you to push it. This thing wants you to drive it like you stole it. It is just an invitation for mischief. Come on, come on! I'm here! I've got all this power! Play with me, play with me!
The interior of this car was clearly modelled on the Hotel de Paris in Monte Carlo, and there's even space in the boot of the Continental GT to pack enough to stay there for a month. And then there's the exterior, and while some cars are like Angelina Jolie or Scarlett Johansson, the Bentley is quite clearly Audrey Hepburn. Put simply, you have to take this car into context. This is Bentley's finest ever work of art, and it comes from nearly a century of expertise. Bentley has been with us since 1919, and whether you think this is the motoring equivalent of a German footballer with an England shirt on is quite frankly irrelevant. As far as I'm concerned, this particular masterpiece was well worth waiting for.